Now, I already made this video like, what, 2-3 years ago almost, but I didn't really like the way it turned out after re-looking at it, mainly because, well, you can't hear shit outside of my headphones being fucked up by my long hair. So I kind of just want to remake it, and, you know, I don't really like the FGC. I'm sorry. Like, I've been playing fighting games for years upon years, and I still hate the FGC. Which is why I'm gonna make a video on why I fucking hate the FGC, and why I think it's probably one of the worst communities for any game that I've ever seen in my life. See, usually when a community has a bad side, whether it be like an anime or a show or a movie, you'll have people being like, oh, well, we don't associate ourselves with those people. It's just those people, don't interact with them. I have yet to hear this about anything with the FGC, so that to me basically means that the community in and of itself is one big giant toxic shitfest that's way more toxic than the Toxic Avenger. It's so bad a fight once broke out at an MVC3 tournament, and then on top of that, the commentators even talk shit, which I'm like, why? Like, they're acting like this shit's wrestling, where you have heel commentators and face commentators. Like, bro, your job as a commentator is meant to be clearly unbiased, but they're clearly biased. Their whole commentary will basically be, oh, look at this guy, he fucked up an input, oh my god, he fucking lost because he fucked it up, haha, yo, what, you felt like shit because you already fucked it up? Well, here you go, you fucked it up again. Like, if a commentator said that shit, I would quite literally just put him in my chair, tie him down, grab the controller, put it in his hand, and scream at him to do it for me. Because I'm the one playing here, you're just the one fucking talking over me. Like, I have yet to hear about COD commentators talking shit during COD League, or other people talking shit about other things in tournaments. Like, bro, what? Like, the FGC is the only community where the commentators and the players all decide to talk shit, and they're like, yeah, let's talk shit. And usually, when there's toxic sides of community, they try and get rid of them, but the FGC just embraces toxicity. And that's when you know a community is toxic, when they don't even try and get rid of the toxicity, and rather just fucking embrace it. I mean, it's so bad that people make excuses about shit about people that they don't like.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you something.
We don't care.
Jerry.
Yes, the FGC is so bad, I have to defend two people that they really fucking hate, and that being DSP and LTG. According to DSP, way back in the day, it didn't really matter if you went top tier or low tier or mid tier, just as long as you picked the character and played the game. And people were heated over what he said because of this. I'm like, I mean, is he really wrong though? Like, way back, they didn't care about going top tier or anything. They just cared about, okay, let's just play the game. Let's just have fun playing the game. But according to the FGC, they're the only community that want to speak for how people were back then without being people from back then. Like, that's some dictatorship type shit, not gonna lie. And I remember when LTG beat Maximilian in Street Fighter 5, they were like, like Courage the Cowardly Dog to try and come up with excuses on how Maximilian lost. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a fan of either one of these guys. I really don't like either one of them. I mean, DSP is kind of boring to me, and plus he's probably the tamest one out of these two, and I don't really like LTG as a person, but I mean, you can't really take back a loss or a win. Like, you can't just time travel and prevent it from happening. What happened, and LTG beat Maximilian in a Street Fighter 5 match. Like, they're the only community that will straight up lie about things, whether they were alive during that time period or not, or just lie about something that obviously happened. And you know how I mentioned there was some, like, dictator stuff? Well, here's another one that just kind of fits into that mold.
I hate it. I hate being seen as a bad guy.
How I determine having fun in a fighting game is usually just me winning a few matches or playing the game with a friend of mine until we get bored and hop on something else. To them, you gotta go through all these hoops and errors just to play the game. Like, you gotta read the frame data, you gotta read the character's moves, learn the matchup, play the matchup. You gotta do all this complex stuff just to play a game where you could beat someone without learning all this complex stuff. Reading hitboxes is fine to me because there are some moves that just have range where they should not have range, or other moves that just are deceivingly rangeful for no reason. However, frame data and all that stuff just kind of makes you look like a loser. Like, you really have to go into the game's files just to learn a character's frame data and whatever, just to still lose to a guy who never did any of this. It's like Hawkeye training with Captain America to become Ronin, only for him to still get beat up by like a Cyberman or something. Plus, you don't need frame data to determine, oh wow, I could punish Ryu if he messes up a Shoryuken. Like, I had this one guy that I used to be friends with, and obviously we haven't been friends for like a hot minute, but basically he would read frame data and all this stuff in Dragon Ball FighterZ and Guilty Gear and a whole bunch of other games, and I would still beat him. He would read frame data and all that stuff, and we kind of found it funny because at the time it was so unheard of for either one of us to hear about this. And I remember a few times he would basically just end up like a Dragon Ball Z villain and be like, no, my top tier, after I kept beating him with low tier characters. See, my thing is, how do you know what an opponent is gonna do, bruh? How do you know? Because, like, here, Humans are unpredictable beings, so how do you know what the human player is going to do? It's not like you're fighting against an AI. I don't get it, man. You know what else I don't get? How, again, they pull some dictator stuff and be like, are you playing top tier or not? No? Then fuck you.
My client should go right to fucking jail!
The FGC, for some reason, just has this weird thing where if you don't use top tier, then, oh, you're not playing the game right. And if you use top tier, they're like, oh, welcome to the cult, brother. A lot of characters in fighting games, and most of these characters might be low tier without me even knowing it, but I still love playing these characters because of the fact that, well, I enjoy playing them. It's simple as that. Either I like the character beforehand, or I just decide to play them because I enjoy playing them, and that's it. Like, oh, boo-hoo, I don't want to be a tier whore. Like, I'm not gonna throw away everything with this one character just because they might be low tier and just go with a boring character to play because they're top tier. I'd rather have a fun low tier than a boring top tier. And plus, what if the low tier character has a better design than the top tier one? Like, what if the low tier character is like the coolest thing you've ever seen in your life and the top tier is like, I don't know, a potato with a hat? Like, I remember my friend told me the story that he was in an MVC3 server, and when his team didn't have top tier and they found out, they're like, oh, that's a disgrace. Like, how? Because I genuinely enjoy playing these characters instead of just going a tier whore character for the sake of a tier whore character. Plus, tier lists change all the time, so like, what if a low tier character beats like 3 top tier characters in tournaments and wins the tournament? What, are they going to become top tier? I want to go into 2 more parts of this video. One's going to be very short, and then the other one's probably just going to be the ending segment of the video. So here it is. Here's a worthless debate, and here's the shortest part. Go with whatever, you're still gonna be playing the game the same way regardless. Like, if you're fine with the base controller for your console, that's fine. If you want to upgrade to pad, that's fine. If you want to go with a fight stick, that's fine. It shouldn't even be a debate. It's like how people are very specific on their classic games. Like, oh, you know, you could just emulate it for free on your laptop, even if it's a very shitty laptop. No, I gotta play with my $1,000 cartridge. I gotta play with my scan lines with the CR key. Like, dude, it doesn't matter. You're playing the game regardless. You're playing the game the same way. If you think you're comfortable with the way a fight stick is, go ahead with that. If you're gonna go with the pad, okay, just go with that. It doesn't really matter. Like, you're playing the same game the same way regardless. It doesn't really matter what you use. There, end of debate. It just comes down to what you want. No need for a debate, let alone being oddly specific about it. A lot of things in the FGC are kind of just hive mind-ish. Like, they don't really have a sense of identity or their own thoughts. They just kind of go with, yes, other people say this, I go with this. It's like people who watch video they listen to their favorite FGC pro guy and they end up trying to be like him, and they don't really have enough time to be themselves. Rather than be like, you know what, I'm gonna be me. They're gonna be like, oh, well, I want to be like this guy. I really want to be like this guy. And they devote themselves to being like this person, even if they're a piece of shit. Cough, cough, the Smash community. But a lot of people in the FGC are kind of lost in a sense. They don't really have a sense of identity. It's either they just agree with whatever their hive mind people say, or they just listen to whatever their esports pro says. They don't really have enough time to be themselves in a way. They're so focused on other people and other things rather than their own identity or own anything for that matter. Sort of like modern YouTube in a sense, but I feel like that's a story for another time. Maybe Thursday I could record some of it. If not, maybe some other time next week. But yeah, that's my FGC video. And so, yeah, I finally remade the video I've been wanting to remake for God knows how long. And before I go, I just want to say these words. A community should strive to be better, not worse. And I feel like the FGC is going down a path where it's just going to get worse and worse as time goes on. The only real words I could say is just, you know, do better and be better, and hopefully the FGC will actually heal, but I doubt that will happen. And until it does get better, fuck the FGC.